Hi guys. So in this video we're going to discuss about the earthquakes. You might be familiar with this topic, earthquakes, and you must have studied this in your lava class also. Now let's start this. Earthquakes are nothing but it's a sudden vibration happening on Earth's crust, on a small part of Earth's crust. These are caused due to natural as well as human-made reasons, right? The forces which are generating from within the Earth's crust or mantle, or sometimes human activities can also lead to shaking of Earth. Then this is what is called as earthquakes, right? A sudden vibration happening on the Earth's crust or on a part of it is called as earthquake, and it results in violent tremors and shaking, and that can cause large scale destruction, right? So this is what a simply earthquake is, or else in a simple manner we can define it as a shock or a series of shocks due to a sudden movement of crustal rocks generated at a point known as seismic focus within the crust or mantle. So crust is always in constant motion due to the movement of plates, and due to some forces, can be due to compression forces or can be due to any other forces, the crust creates, or some breaks are created in the crust, and the point from where the break or the force generated is called as the seismic focus. So energy will move in all directions from this center point, that is what is called as seismic focus, and this energy moves in the form of waves, that is what is called as seismic focus. So this energy shakes the earth's surface, and that is what is called as earthquake. So here you can see some of the videos of earthquakes, right? So actually it's a footage from the CCTV camera is also shaking, so don't think that the entire thing will shake like this. So here you can see a sample footage, right? So, and on the right side the building is completely collapsed, and you can see people are scary and moving in different directions. Another one, right here also you can see camera is also shaking, but still you can see the vehicles are also shaking. So these are few footages of the earthquake, and there is a photo from a place before and after the earthquake. So you can just imagine the amount of destruction an earthquake can cause. That, as I told you, earthquake happens or originates from one center point. It is called as focus or the seismic focus, and the energy waves moves in all directions from the center focus. Energy waves are called as seismic waves, and the area or the place which is closest to the focus will have the maximum impact, or in other words I can say the maximum amount of destructions will be on the point which is directly above the focus on the surface of the earth. So that point, the place which is directly above the focus on the surface of earth, is called as epicenter, and the intensity of earthquake decreases away from the epicenter. So there are two terms to study: focus or the seismic focus. It is the origin of the earthquake from which earthquake waves are generated. There are different types of waves, they move at different speed, that we will study in the coming slides. And the place which is directly above the focus is called as epicenter, and here the intensity is maximum, or the impact of earthquake is maximum. Now the terms which are related to this one: seismic waves. As I told you, the energy generated during earthquake is called as seismic wave, and these waves moves in all direction, and the waves are recorded using an instrument, right? So the instrument which is used for recording the waves is called as seismograph, or it is also called as seismometer. So this is an instrument which is capable of recording the seismic waves, and with the help of the seismographs we can say at what time and where the earthquake has occurred and how intense it is. Now the entire branch of study about earthquake is called as seismology, and a person who studies about earthquake is called as seismologist. Now this is a modern seismograph. Here you can see, let me just try to zoom in. Yeah. So here you can see there are two pens pointing downward onto the graph, and the graph is in continuous movement. Okay. On one side of the graph you can see something is written. So the speed of the movement of the graph is controlled. So we can say at what time and where the pen is writing. Okay. So based on this we can say at what time where the pen is writing. Now the pen is directly connected to the land. So whenever there is a shake on the land, the pen will shake up and down, right? So when pen moves here and there, these kind of markings are created. So if the marking is huge, means larger, that means shake is more, right? And if it is small, that means shake is less. So based on this we can say how intense shaking has happened. So this instrument is called as seismograph. This is one of the most advanced seismograph, And if you look into the seismograph reading, you can see there is not even a single straight line. Every time there is this vibration marking. That means every time earth is shaking. It may not be due to earthquake every time. It can be due to a larger truck passing nearby, or maybe some other force. But still, every time earth is shaking, and some of these shakes are too small that only the seismographs will be able to detect it. Right? So this instrument is called as seismograph. Okay. Now here, this is how it functions. Right? Seismograph, and a simple seismograph is like this. Right? So whenever there is a shake, the seismograph will move and the markings will be made on the graph. Now there is a seismograph reading here. From the left side, you can see the time also. At the bottom, time is given, right? 7:55 p.m. That is 1955. Then 20, like this. So at what time and how intense shaking has happened, so that you can read out from this. And if you have reading from at least 3 different seismograph stations, then using the trigonometry, you can triangulate. Using the triangulation method, you can find out the exact location from where the earthquake has originated. So those are all the technical regions. We are not touching that. So this is how a seismographic reading looks like. So here you can see between 2010 and 2015 we have one huge shaking. So these are due to the first type of wave. These waves are called as primary waves. And then after a few minutes, the secondary waves, second wave reached here. Then after 2030, means after 8:30, the surface waves, the largest and the most powerful waves reached here, and we can see the marking. So this kind of seismograph reading will help us to identify at what time, where, and in what intensity the earthquake has occurred. Now this is very simple. As you all know, earthquakes are hazardous and it damages life and property, and the most important thing, human has no control over the earthquakes, and whenever it happens, we are helpless, right? So far we were able to find out the causes, right? We have an idea how it is caused, right? But we cannot stop it. We don't have any technology to predict it, right? Only thing we can say that there are few areas which are more vulnerable to earthquakes, so we can give warning to people living in those areas, so that people living in that area can take some precautions. They can build houses which can overcome earthquakes, or these kind of precautions can be taken, but we don't have any other option to predict the earthquake or to control it. So we don't have any control over earthquake, because the force which is behind earthquakes are mainly endogenic force, the forces which are there within the earth. Alright, now we have few examples. This is one of the major earthquake occurred in 1970 in Peru. On 31st July there was an earthquake which lasted for about 45 seconds, and it was measured as 8 on Richter scale. So Richter scale is again another scale which is used for calculating the intensity or the magnitude of the earthquake. So if the values are above 6, right, the values have no fixed maximum minimum, but we will usually take from 0 to 10. So if the values on the magnitude is above 6, it is said to be very dangerous, and if it is less than that, okay, some manageable, moderate to low type of earthquake. So here it is one of the most dangerous earthquake, which is of the magnitude 8 on Richter scale. It occurred on 1970 July 31st. Now approximately 66,000 people died due to the earthquake, and you can see the amount of destruction caused by the earthquake. Then another good example of earthquake is in 1976 from China on 20th July, and the epicenter of the earthquake is in this part of China, and it has spread over a large area, and approximately 250,000 people died due to this earthquake. Then in 2001 in January, we had an earthquake in India, in Gujarat, Bhuj, right? A number of people died. Again, we don't have any exact numbers. According to the government numbers, it is somewhere between 20,000 and 21,000, right? So this many people died, and large number of people injured, and it has affected even the Pakistan, because it's in the border area, right? And you can see the photos. Some buildings got collapsed completely, right? So large scale destruction was caused by earthquake. Now, one of the most dangerous earthquake of our time happened in 2004 on December 26th. So this undersea earthquake occurred in the Indian Ocean near Indonesia, has caused tsunami also, right? So it originated, its epicenter is near Indonesia, but the tsunami generated from this particular place has caused destruction even in Africa, right? At least some 13,000 kilometers away from here in Somalia also, this tsunami has taken lives of hundred thousands of people, right? In India, large number of areas, so large area got affected in India and people died, right? So you can see the areas which were affected. At least 2,40,000 people got killed, and the magnitude of the earthquake was between 8.9 and 9.3. Now it has, I told you, it has generated tsunami, but this is not from the Indonesia's tsunami. This photo is from another tsunami which happened in 2011 in Japan, but situations are almost similar. Huge amount of water came directly into the land in the form of very large waves, and that has caused wide destruction and taken life of people. Now, this is how it has happened, right? Due to the crustal movements, earthquake originated within the ocean, in the crust, right? The force of the earthquake wave lifted the water, and that has led to the generation of tsunami. And you can see the newspapers cuttings of tsunami, right? This one seems to be from somewhere in Southeast India, maybe in Thailand or in Indonesia, some other countries, and this one Times of India, right? Now these photos are from 2007 tsunami. Alright, now the causes of earthquake, there are mainly three different causes. One is due to volcanic eruption, and other is due to folding or faulting, that is due to the movement of Earth's crust. Then, and the third one is due to the human activities. We can classify them together as anthropogenic causes of earthquake. Now, first one is volcanic eruption and earthquakes. So when there is a volcanic eruption, huge amount of energy is again released, right? When the magma comes up, huge amount of energy is released. That means huge pressure is applied onto the rocks onto the surrounding rocks. So that can lead to shakes, and these kind of earthquakes are comparatively of shallow origin. That means the focus of the earthquake is at a shallow depth. That means very close to the surface, and the area of the impact is comparatively smaller. There are some exceptions, but overall the area of impact is comparatively smaller, right? Then we have an example from Indonesia. In 1883 there was a volcanic eruption in Krakatoa. Krakatoa volcano erupted, and that also caused a tsunami, and it affected on the African coast also, killing more than 36,000 people. And the record says that the ash from the volcano reached even the mesosphere of the atmosphere, right? So there is one example for earthquake happened due to volcanic eruption. Then this is the map which is showing the location of the volcano, and you can see it affected the Horn of Africa, and there is approximately some 10,000 kilometers away from the epicenter. And image of this volcano by an artist, right? And the volcanic materials, the ash, smoke, and other things which came out of volcano. Then folding and faulting is another major cause of volcanic eruption. Folding and faulting means we know that the crust is always in movement, right? So when crust moves, sometimes it can be folding or sometimes it can be faulting, whatever it is. At one point of time, it creates a break or a crack, and from that point, huge amount of energy is released. So here, this is also an example of a faulting, right? So due to pressure from both sides, or due to pulling from both sides, crust breaks, and from one point, huge amount of energy is released, and this energy moves in the form of waves and causes. Now, third important reason is the anthropogenic factors or human-made factors. Human activities like mining, okay, deep mining, blasting of the rock using dynamites, and even construction of dams. When a huge dam is constructed, first thing, the weight of the dam itself is heavy, right? Huge. Not only that, behind the dam in the reservoir, huge amount of water will be stored, and that will also exert weight on the ground. So together, right, a huge weight is exerted on the land, and that can cause local tremors, local earthquakes can happen. And we have examples from Greece as well as in India. In 1931 there was an earthquake in Greece, and in India also we had an earthquake near Koina due to the Koina reservoirs construction. Right, so these are the anthropogenic factors of earthquake. Here in this you can see how dynamites are used in mines in order to extract minerals, right? So they blast the entire mine using dynamites, and sometimes this can cause local tremors also. Now, next topic is measurement of earthquake. How can we measure the earthquake? So we have a lot of methods, and one of the most widely accepted method is the Richter scale. Okay, a scale which is developed by a seismologist named Charles F. Richter in 1935. Seismologist means one who study about earthquakes. This Richter scale was later modified by Richter and Benno Gutenberg in the year 1965, and today this is one of the most commonly used scale which is used for measuring the magnitude. The scale is related to the energy released during the earthquake, and there is no fixed maximum and minimum. It just rates the intensity of the earthquake based on the amount of destruction has happened. Right. So this is Charles F. Richter. Right. So it is used for measuring the size of the earthquake. Now, intensity of the earthquake is nothing but it is the destructive power of an earthquake. Right. How much destruction it is causing to human life and property, like whether it is damaging a huge building, whether it is leading to the collapse of buildings or damaging bridges or dams. So these kind of destruction is taken into consideration for measuring the intensity or the magnitude of the earthquake, and Richter scale is somewhat like this. If the magnitude of the earthquake is from 0 to 1.9, that means these are very minute earthquakes, very small shakes, which only seismograph can detect. Sometimes some reptiles might also be able to detect this. Right, these literally don't cause any problem to anyone. Right, very minute. They cannot even shake even a small human-made material. And if the magnitude is little more higher, like 2.2 to 2.9, then that means they can shake hanging objects. Imagine if there is a bell or something hanging on a roof or ceiling, so that can be shaken due to an earthquake of magnitude 2.2 to 2.9. Then another one, if the magnitude is from 3 to 3.9, that means it is just like vibration. Imagine you are sitting near a road and a huge truck is passing nearby. You can feel a small vibration. So that kind of a vibration, right? So 2.3 to 3.9 magnitude means small vibrations are caused. Then 4 to 4.9 means okay, a little bit dangerous. It can break the windows and cause smaller objects and to move or fall. 5 to 5.9 means little more powerful, right? That can cause even very small walls to fall down, the walls which are not so strong. And above 6, any earthquake of the magnitude above 6 is dangerous. It can damage buildings. Even the well-built structures can also be damaged by an earthquake of magnitude 6 to 6.9. 7 to 7.9 means it can collapse larger buildings and can create cracks on Earth's surface. And 8 to 8.9 means very huge building that can affect larger area, right? It can affect a large area. It can destroy almost everything except the strongest of the building in an area. And 9 and above means it is almost near total destruction, right? So far there were no earthquake of the magnitude above 9. So this is how the Richter scale is given, right? So magnitude is taken from 0, and as the magnitude is more means the amount of destruction caused is more. Right. So we have data which shows the frequency of earthquakes. So here at the bottom you can see number of earthquakes per year, right? Earthquakes of the magnitude 2, right? On that, in the same line you can see approximately 10 lakh, that means 1 million such earthquake happens every year. Right. So every year earthquakes of the magnitude up to 2 happens, at least 10 million in numbers. Then a magnitude of 3, right? At least 1 lakh such earthquake happens every year. Magnitude of 4, this can be called as minor earthquakes, which can be felt by human beings. We can feel the shaking, right? So such 12,000 earthquakes happens at an average in a year. Then magnitude of 5, such earthquakes are called as light earthquakes. It can damage some properties. Such 2,000 earthquake happens every year. Then 6 is the moderate earthquake. It can cause large scale destruction. At least 200, or at an average 200 such earthquake happens every year. Then magnitude 7, a strong earthquake that can cause huge scale destruction. At an average such 20 earthquake happens every year. Then major earthquakes, that is magnitude 8, right, 7 to 8. So such earthquakes, 3 such earthquake happens in a year. Next, magnitude 8 or up to 8, so comparatively very dangerous. Major earthquakes, severe economic impact will be there, large loss of life will be there. So such earthquake happens at least at an average 3 in a year. and greater than 8 or up to 9 is comparatively very less in frequency, maybe less than 1, or one such earthquake happens in 5 to 10 years, right? So these are very large scale destructive earthquakes. And the earthquake in 2004 which caused tsunami was an earthquake of the magnitude 8.9, right? So this is the frequency and the destructive power and its average number in a year. All right, thank you.